What's up everyone? My name is Nicole. You might know me from my guitar videos. You may have heard my band Kalias, but what you might not know is that I spend most of my time songwriting and creating audio and music production content for several brands and channels. In this video, I'm going to walk you guys through what my songwriting process looks like, from where to start, the main compositional tools that I use, writing vertically, what happens when I get writer's block, and how I get inspired. As always, if you like what you see or hear, be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and follow my band Kalias. To me, one of the most exciting and sometimes scary things is opening a new session. The possibilities are endless, and this can be quite overwhelming on where to start. There are so many ways to do this, but I typically find myself doing one of two things pretty often. I either have my guitar in hand and pick a ballpark BPM, probably something different than the last few songs that I worked on, and I'll literally just start jamming to just a click until I lock in a riff. The other thing I try to practice to get out of my comfort zone is to start with no click, but to find or create a new synth patch. All right, let's dive into the main tools I use to write a song. For my DAW, I'm using Cubase because I'm smart, but in all seriousness, any DAW is amazing once you learn the ins and outs to allow for a faster workflow. For guitars, I'm using my Jackson 7 and 8 strings. I usually break out the 6s when I'm tracking leads because I like to break the rules and track leads with a trem, even though I can't do that live with an 8-string. But check it out, even though you see all these guitars, I can assure you that playing guitar is probably only maybe 20% of my process. And this is where you level up as a songwriter, producer, or just musician in general, is to expand and compose with different instruments. In my case, this would be synth or orchestrations, drums, and bass. Clearly, I don't have any drums here or even basses, and I don't actually play those instruments, but I'm gonna show you guys what I use to compose. Typically, after I write one riff, before expanding on it, I immediately hop to drum programming. I use TuneTrack's Superior Drummer 3, which has a massive drum library and tons of loops to help you get started if you're feeling uninspired or if you're new to programming. My go-to kit is the Andy Sneap kit. It sounds great for modern metal genres. And remember, you can go into any of these kits and modify them to taste by swapping out cymbals or drums, and you can EQ everything, create custom mix chain, whatever you want to do. Once I have an acceptable drum groove going, I move to bass. To program bass, I use Easy Bass with the Metal Bass expansion. From here, you can choose between fingerstyle and using a pick, then plug your MIDI how you see fit. You can even go in and adjust velocities as you would in Superior Drummer to humanize the overall sound. For synth, I'm mostly using my Prophet Rev 2 and customizing patches within that. Everything I've discussed in my process so far, I do per section, essentially writing vertically. I do this because I don't want to box myself into my main instrument, which is guitar, and write from just a linear perspective. Writing vertically per section helps because the drums, bass, or synth might influence the next section differently rather than just composing with one instrument. Now, while we all go through creative streaks where you can complete a song in like as little as a day or a week, at some point we all get writer's block, right? It happens. There's a number of things you can do to get out of this rut, but I'll just share my own in hopes that it might help some of you. The most obvious is to take a step back and maybe do a different activity and come back to it later, but hopefully not too much later because you want to keep your momentum going, right? Listening to a completely different genre, you can get rhythmic ideas, listen for sequences, tones, ambience, anything that will give you a different musical perspective that you can apply directly to what you're doing. Personally, I like to listen to movie soundtracks and classical music to get inspired. Another one of my favorite ways to get inspired is to create a new tone, a new synth patch, try a new plugin, and just noodle freely to it until something sticks. It's kind of like that feeling when you get a new piece of gear or create a new sound and it just opens all these doors and inspires. Well, that's all I have for you guys on my songwriting process for now. I hope this gave some of you guys some new ideas on how to approach your own process, songwriting, or even just get started. Again, if you enjoyed this, please let me know in the comments and share it with someone who you think it might help. I will see you guys on the next one.